Joining me now is Tim Smith. He's the president and CEO at US GoldMining. Good to see you again, Tim.
Hi, Mark. Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
Now, let's just start with an overview, if we could, about the Whistler project that the company has and why it's such a significant opportunity for the company itself, but also investors.
Yeah, of course. A little bit of background. US GoldMining Inc.'s a newly created company, about 2.5 years old now. We're American listed on the NASDAQ under the ticker USGO. We're essentially an exploration and hopefully a mine development company. And we're focused on unlocking the substantial value of the Whistler Gold Copper Project, which is located 100 miles northwest of Anchorage in Alaska. And that actually makes it the closest large undeveloped gold copper project to the main population center there in Anchorage, Alaska. Whistler itself is a gold-rich variant of the copper porphyry family. It contains around 70% by value gold, and the remaining 30% is largely copper, probably 28-29%, and then there's some silver kicking in there as well. And the company's objective is quite simple: advance the Whistler project, single project company, advance it via exploration to grow and delineate both existing resources, but also to make new discoveries. We still very much think of Whistler as an exploration play, but also to forge ahead with mining studies on those existing resources to explore options for potential future mine development.
So, Tim, you're advancing and the team is advancing Whistler toward a PEA. What are some of the priorities that you are focused on as you head toward that PEA?
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, there's probably two key priorities and maybe just a bit of overview. I mean, there's never been a PEA on this project before, so we're excited to be able to get through that in the coming months here and obviously introduce that to the investment community. So what we're essentially doing here, of course, a PEA, preliminary economic assessment, and you might hear us refer to also as an initial assessment because, of course, we are operating under SEC rules in the United States, slight variance in the vernacular there. But we're looking at investigating options for that base case mining opportunity. So we're looking at the design and scale, the throughput, life of mine, type of ore processing, overall site layout, power options, and of course, road access. And in fact, those last couple of things there, processing and road access, are those two key priorities, I would say, for this particular project. So optimizing the metallurgy is one area that we're working on. We announced a round of test work earlier this year, and that's coming near to fruition currently. And then on the second piece there, the road, working with the state to get the West Susitna Access Road, as it's called, permitted and built. This is a road, a proposed road that the state has designed, state of Alaska, which will link Whistler with highway, port, rail, and grid power and other infrastructure nearby that main population center of Anchorage, just 100 miles away to the southeast. And to that end, the state has already secured partial funding for that road and has also commenced permitting on the longer section of the road already.
All right, and we'll get into the state government and what they're doing with the so-called Fast 41 and permitting in just a second. But Whistler already has a large resource, but there is potential to expand. So where do you think the areas are where you could find new discoveries and expand the resource?
Yeah, great question. So, and yeah, look, it is a large resource. In Q4 of last year, 2024, we published an updated mineral resource estimate. Actually, increased the indicated portion of that resource estimate up to 6.48 million gold equivalent ounces, and that was primarily at the namesake Whistler deposit on the back of drilling from 2023. And in addition to that 6.48 and indicated, we have another 4.16 million gold equivalent ounces inferred across the project mineral inventory. And that was on the back of essentially the 2023 drilling, plus a new geology model. We were actually able to add a little over 1 million gold equivalent ounces into that indicated category from that 2023 drilling. And that was largely due to some excellent drill results from 2023, including a standout intercept of 652 meters at 1 gram per ton gold equivalent. And that was in the Whistler deposit, the namesake Whistler deposit, which has a high-grade core that comes right to surface. And also, it was in combination, I would say, with a revised geological model, which was really done off the back of some very good core relogging by a technical team out at site. So that resource growth in 2024 really demonstrated to us the ability to still be able to make meaningful additions to the mineral resource estimate via wingspan exploration, which is a terminology I've used at previous majors that I've worked at. This is really talking about taking the resource and just making sure that you're really flexing it to understand what the geometry is and the opportunities in that very near mine environment to potentially add more resources. So that was the focus of 2023 and 2024. But we're also very, very excited about the potential to make new porphyry discoveries at Whistler. We have two big porphyry mineral systems, of course, the Whistler Raintree mineral system in the north and the Island Mountain mineral system in the south. And both of those, we believe, can be classified as porphyry clusters, which means that it contains multiple porphyry intrusions with potential for some of those intrusions to be mineralized. And then a third mineral system there, the Muddy Creek mineral system, that's shaping up as something a little bit different, but it's a style of mineralization that's quite common in the northwest of North America, in the Tintina gold belt in particular. And this is an intrusion-related gold system. So we're at the very early stages there of just mapping rock chip sampling, but the indications in geochemistry and mapping are starting to indicate that there's potential for a large intrusion-related gold system there at Muddy Creek as well. So very excited about our exploration potential.
Now, back to the state of Alaska, it recently joined Fast 41 to streamline permitting.
Mm-hmm.
How does that impact U.S. gold mining? What are some of the benefits there? And then beyond that, what's the overall approach to making sure you're doing everything right from an environmental standpoint and also engaging with the community? Great
question. So I might actually start with the back end of that section and just provide an overview first before I get to the detail of Fast 41. There's quite a lot to unpack there. So in terms of background on environment and community engagement, this is critical. We've undertaken, we would classify it as phase 1, environmental baseline work plus heritage surveys. And that work so far has demonstrated that there are no project showstoppers on the property. And of course, that was important to us in terms of the ongoing investment thesis, but also obviously to be able to indicate that we believe we can put the project on a clear line of sight through to eventual project permitting. Along with that, we've embarked on stakeholder engagement program, and all of that work, the environmental, heritage, and stakeholder engagement, commenced before we began drilling in 2023. So we actually commenced that work in 2022. And we really emphasize the importance of building relationships, listening, incorporating feedback, engaging local Alaskan businesses. And by doing all of those things, we're obviously aiming to earn social license. And we expect to ramp up all of those activities as we move forward with the project. So important piece of, being a successful developer anywhere, but certainly in Alaska. With respect to Fast 41, and by the way, FAST, the acronym stands for Fixing America's Surface Transportation Act. So that, clearly that's being talked about quite a lot right now. And indeed, some of the U.S. federal President Trump's administration, his executive orders over the last 6 months, such as unleashing Alaska's extraordinary resource potential. And about 3 months in, that was on day one actually of his administration, and then about 3 months in, he released the second executive order titled "Immediate Measures to Increase American Mineral Production." So Fast 41 is one of the sort of key mechanisms or levers that they have to try to further those particular objectives. Specifically with respect to Fast 41, to be honest, we're not too certain if it is something that we can leverage at Whistler, given that Whistler is located on state land, which is actually a good thing, by the way. We've got around 54,000 acres on state land, 100% owned by US Gold, and that's good because we're dealing with a single regulator. And also Fast 41, I think, is generally available to projects that are somewhat more advanced than Whistler, more sort of in the final sort of stages of feasibility. However, I can provide this insight. Under those Trump executive orders, the governor of Alaska, Governor Mike Dunleavy, has the right to expedite certain federal review of projects that could further the intent of those executive orders and, of course, benefit the state's objectives towards resource development. And the governor has indeed invoked the fast tracking under those orders on the West Susitna Access Road project permit application that one of those regulators has recently submitted. So yes, indeed, US Gold Mining is indeed a direct beneficiary of those political tailwinds. In fact, across I would say all levels of government, from borough through to state and up through federal.
All right, Tim, moving along to the shareholder base, GoldMining is a significant stakeholder in US Gold Mining, the company that you run. So how would you describe that structure and the overall leadership team?
Yeah, Gold Mining is the parent company. US Gold Mining was spun out of Gold Mining in 2022. Essentially because we wanted to put the Whistler project into a company that would have dedicated management and funding. Gold Mining is a Canadian-based explorer across 5 countries in the Americas, listed on the NYSE American and the TSX. And essentially, the relationship there is that there's some cross-pollination in terms of management. In fact, full disclosure, I'm also the VP Exploration for Gold Mining, in addition to being the CEO of US Gold Mining. I think the main benefit there is that we're able to share management and head office costs to keep overheads under control. And of course, US Gold Mining gets the direct benefit of being able to bring in technical expertise that is available to us within the broader gold mining group.
Now, we know that investors are always looking for milestones to be hit and various catalysts. They want to stay interested. They want to be excited. So what are some of the milestones and catalysts investors can look forward to the next 12, 18 months or so?
Sure. So exploration, 1, and mining studies, 2. And on the exploration piece, I've talked about that a little bit, but just to go a little further, we have a field team at Whistler right now undertaking a scout drilling program over the Whistler Raintree porphyry mineral system. That's just testing below shallow till for indications of gold and copper geochemical anomalism. And that will add to our geophysical modeling to add, another layer, another dimension of data to help us hone in on possible mineralized porphyry intrusions for follow-up likely next year now in terms of diamond core drilling. And we're also quite excited about the zones of higher density veining that we're seeing from the mapping, which is underway at Muddy Creek. But stressing that geochem results are yet to come back on that work. So exploration, number 1. And number 2, of course, on the study side, we have the Whistler PEA underway, as we've discussed. We commenced it in May. We would like to try to have that ready by the end of this year. And certainly elements of that are progressing very well, and potentially we will be able to bring out some updates on various elements of that study as we track towards the end of the year.
Lastly, Tim, I'd like to ask you a question to wrap things up here that I'll sometimes ask other CEOs who are advancing a mine. So is the ultimate vision to get to production or could there be joint ventures along the way? You bring in some partners, or there's a possibility of getting a knock on the door and a bigger player wants to take you out?
Well, overall, yes. The objective is to get to production. We believe we've potentially got North America's, one of North America's next major mine development projects here. Whether we go it alone, certainly we have past mine builders on the team. Alistair Still, our chairman, has built mines before. He helped Goldcorp build the Cerro Negro mine down in Argentina in the early 2000s. I've been involved with mine builds myself. And we've also recently added a veteran mine builder, Barry Olson, who has built some very large mines throughout the Americas, onto our advisory team. But certainly, we're realistic about the heavy lift in making that transition from explorer to developer to producer. And so, we're always open to the concept of partnership. There are some very good larger developers/miners in Alaska and throughout, North America with the right skill set in this type of geologic and geographic environment. So, if an offer came along, obviously a serious offer, we would review that. And same on the M&A side. Our job is to effect a return on shareholder investment. So if an opportunity comes along, of course, management and board will review and make a recommendation.
Okay, well, thank you very much for shedding some light on U.S. gold mining. We'll be following. We appreciate your time today, Tim. Thanks again.
Thanks so much. And have a great day.
You too. Tim Smith, President and CEO at U.S. GoldMining. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.
Thank you.